Hola, amigos. This is the story of Tenochtitlan, which was the Aztec city built long ago and crushed by the Conquistadores, who built Mexico City on top of it. Happy story, I know. Our story begins with what the Aztecas quieren. The Aztecas buscan por años. They searched for years for this thing here, an águila eating a serpiente en un cactus. Hey, do you know what's on the Mexican flag, by the way? Well, do you know what's on the American flag? Stars and stripes, right? For 50 stars for 50 states and 13 stripes for 13 colonies. On the Mexican flag today, right now, you can Google it, is an eagle eating a serpiente and un cactus. This beginning to the Mexican civilization is that important to them. Los Aztecas quieren the águila eating the serpiente and the cactus. On their Dios, their God, said that it quiere una pirámide. It wanted una pirámide. This pirámide, in fact, was the one they built to their Dios, who told them, hey, build it on the eagle. Here's another look at that pirámide in that same scene, and here's a model of what that pirámide might have looked like. There were actually two temples to two different dioses. Uno, dos. They had some crazy names. These aren't Spanish names, they're Nahuatl, one of the Aztec languages. Take a second, think about how would you say those names? They're kind of ridiculous. One of them is Tlaloc, and the other one, I might get this wrong, Huitzilopochtli. Wow, that was pretty good. Amigos, these two dioses were honored by having this huge pyramid and temples built to them. They still had some pretty loco nombres. You might remember from our cuento, our story last time, that the emperors of the Aztecas always wanted bigger and bigger and bigger pyramids. You can see in this photo, in the middle, there's sort of a shell of a pyramid. The emperador saw that one and they said, no, it has to be más grande. It has to be bigger. So they built another one on top of the first one. No, más grande. They built a third pyramid. No, más grande. They finally built the fourth pyramid around, and finally it was big enough that the emperador was okay with it. Loco. How they built them on top of each other. Here are some of those emperadores of the Aztecas. Notice how maybe they kind of look like some Native American people who you might have studied in social studies. They had the plumas, the feathers in their headdresses, and capes instead of like shirts or pants. And that's just how they dress. You might know it's pretty caliente most of the time in Mexico. And they didn't have air conditioning then. One of the most famous emperadores was named Montezuma II. Maybe you heard of him. I think he was in Indiana Jones or something. I'm not sure, but his name was Montezuma. And another one of the Aztec dioses, one of the most important gods, was named Quetzalcoatl. He left in their myths, but he said he was coming back as something unusual, something weird. So when these Aztecas, who lived without shirts or pants, and feathered headdresses, and, well, spears and swords, when they saw the Europeos come with their pale skin and their pointy beards and their shiny armor and guns, they thought, these are really weird people. They look really strange. Could they be Quetzalcoatl? The Europeans had armaduras, like I said, body armor, caballos, horses. There were no horses in America until the conquistadors came over. And they had escopetas, rifles, that the Aztecs and other native peoples had never seen anything like before. They were pretty well prepared and also strange to the Aztecas. Hernan Cortes, maybe you've heard of him. He was one of the most famous conquistadores. It says some things about him here. He was a conquistador, a conqueror. He's blanco, white, with his barba, his beard. He quiere oro. Maybe you remember the conquistadores. One of the big things they wanted was oro, gold. They wanted treasure to take back to their kings in Europe. And Hernan Cortes was muy mal, very bad. He was the reason a lot of Aztecas and others died. One of the most powerful women in the Azteca culture was named Malintzin. She was poderosa because she could speak dos languages. She could speak Nahuatl to the Aztecas, and she could also speak Espanol to the conquistadores. They needed her to talk to each other. So her knowing two lenguas was really powerful. Just like how knowing English and Spanish can be really powerful too. Amigos, it would be kind of awesome, kind of epic if there was a showdown between the Aztecas and the conquistadores, but ultimately there wasn't. The Aztecas thought the conquistadores were strange and weird, and well, they might be Quetzalcoatl. So the Aztecas were respectful and kind to them, and the conquistadores repaid their respect by conquering them and taking their treasure. It's a sad story, amigos. But that's just a little bit more about the conquistadores and the Aztecas. I hope you learned something from that video.